What is good? What is good? Mr. Fancy, Mr. Matt, how are we?
What's going on?
Hello.
Man, I was telling you guys pre-production, we have 7 football games left. That's it. We have the 4 this weekend, and then 2 next weekend, and then Super Bowl. That's all we got left of the season. So
Coming to
kind of
an
a
end.
depressing time. But football is still going on, so we must still do it. But the weekend stats for us: 3-2 as a pod. Playoffs are a lot tougher. Things went a little sideways with 2 different games that we'll dive into a little bit here. I went 4-2. You guys went 3-3. Before we dive into the games, though, we did have a little scoregami this weekend. You guys see that?
Ooh.
Another one.
Yeah, we got another little scoregami. With one of the games that let us down. Chargers 12, Houston 32. The 1,091st unique final score in NFL history. So at least something came out of the Chargers game because a lot of us, especially the bettors, got screwed out of that game. The one person that didn't get screwed out of the game is Ladd McConkey. 197 receiving yards, which is the most by a rookie receiver in a playoff game in NFL history. Kind of a fun little stat there. And the fact that he was so close to 200 too, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I saw this stat, and I thought I heard them say this live while we were watching the game. Fancy about the Eagles-Packers game, which, by the way, the Eagles did win that. Jalen Hurts had a snap where it was a drop back, non-fake handoff, not like a play action, right? That was his first NFL career snap where he dropped back and did not run in play action.
Huh.
He's been in shotgun his entire career or running a play action pass.
Yeah.
I was like, do you know how many snaps that I don't have the number here, but that is like
Oh
that's
yeah.
a lot.
That's a lot of games. Well,
And someone even said I saw the video on it and like he almost looked uncomfortable. Like someone was like that definitely wasn't even. It was probably supposed to be a play action and they fucked it up because like he like stepped back and like didn't know where to go. Like it was like, oh shit, there's nobody behind me. Like you know what I mean? Like it's kind of crazy. Like
Yeah, I want to find that highlight because that just seems weird.
Yeah,
there definitely there was definitely something talked about with Gruden making his Barstool
Yep. Yeah, I know
debut
exactly what you're talking
and Tom Brady talking about how a lot of programs aren't having their quarterback under center
Yeah.
all the time and they
Gruden,
don't know what to
Gruden said
do.
it. Gruden will be the last Super Bowl winning coach that ran every single snap under center. Every snap. They ran every single snap of the season, regular season and playoff under center. They never went shotgun one single time. And he said we'll never see that ever again. Which I mean that stat right there kind of shows you. I wonder how many other quarterbacks never just had a drop back. Like that was Brady's bread and butter. Like Peyton Manning's bread and butter. Like I can see Peyton Manning in my mind right now, literally dropping back. Like
that's all the highlights. You see him like looking down the line and giving their calls, not just as their whole head turns. Yeah, it's
and honestly, I think not to dive into this. I know we're spending a lot of time on it, but I think it's also what they're talking about when you're Peyton Manning, Tom Brady say like these quarterbacks are not being developed. Like they need to drop back so they can kind of see a little bit. I know it sounds stupid, but that 10 feet or so, whatever it may be, like just getting a look of like, okay, let me see. Like when you're up there and guys are talking and the guys are this and that, it's like you might not be more as comfortable. So I think you start to see it. And then the last one I got for you guys, which this was a crazy one. I don't know if you guys have you guys heard the Vikings Rams one yet? Vikings Rams Lions one yet? Matt, have you? No. Okay. So the Vikings have only lost 4 games this season.
Oh,
okay?
I did see that. Okay. Yeah.
Week 6, they lost to the Lions. Week 7, they lost to the Rams. They went on a win streak all the way up to Week 18. Week 18, lost to the Lions. Week 19, wildcard round, lost to the Rams. Those are the only 4 games they lost, and they lost it in back-to-back games both times this season.
Yep, lost to 2 teams
during the whole season. Only lost to 2 teams.
Wow.
So I thought that stat was kind of crazy. I was like, "There's no way." Yeah, they literally went on a 5-game win streak, and then like a 10-game win streak, and then literally went out of playoffs. Or I guess it'd be 9-game win streak.
Yeah.
So kind of crazy. But we will get into the Vikings-Rams game. The one game that did let us down, for all of us, obviously we went 3-2 as a consensus. Spoiler, we all have consensus picks for this week, so there's no, there's none of us against the grain or anything like that. But the Chargers losing 32-12 to the Texans. I will take ownership. If Justin Herbert, you're listening to this, I called out the stat of 502 pass attempts, only 3 interceptions, and then as Fancy and I were talking about earlier, he goes out there and throws 4 picks. So kind of my fault. Like it's like you ever hear like the announcers jinx? It's like that's
Yeah.
kind of what that was.
Yep.
But I would also like to deflect the blame, and the only reason I saw it was because all of the news sources were saying it. So like, is it
Oh yeah.
them?
Yeah.
But the Ravens Steelers game went exactly how we thought it was, 28-14. Buffalo Broncos. We said that game was interesting. It was on my lookout of possibly an upset.
Hey, first score of the game, right? Was Bo
yeah.
Nix. So
I said this is gonna get crazy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking too. To Troy Flanken for 41 yards, I was like, oh shit, this is what I was saying was like.
I was rubbing my hands together.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously it didn't go that way. 31-7. Eagles Packers game. I mean, dude, you kind of nailed it last week, Fancy. It's like you almost just wish you wouldn't have made playoffs, and that's not a jab towards you. It's like the injuries, man. I'm just like watching one guy go and another guy go and another guy go, and then your guys' center. I was like.
And then you're on your 5th string wide receiver.
And it's like, dude, I've been receiving jabs the whole week of like, you guys barely beat an injured Packers team. I was like, did you guys watch the game? We just milked the clock the whole time. It was like you guys were so hurt, we were not worried about you guys scoring on us. It's like the reason you guys got 10 points was because of Josh Jacobs. And I'm not saying that as like a jab. It's like without Josh Jacobs, like if you guys didn't sign him, it might have been like a 20+ game to 0.
If we don't have Josh Jacobs, we don't get there.
Yeah, the playoffs in general. Yeah, he was a crucial part of your guys' team, and it's like he played his heart out. He looked great.
Once again, missed field goals, just leaving points on the field.
Yes,
it's like,
absolutely.
oh my god, you missed the field goal, and then you immediately give, a team favored for the Super Bowl, not the most favored, but highly favored. It's like now you got half the field to worry about, so it's like, yeah, we can chill.
Yeah, and it's like honestly, I thought the game. This might be like a bold statement, but I thought the game was decided off the kickoff. You guys fumbling right on the kickoff. I'm like, this is the Packers team that's showing up. Like this is kind
of fumbled. I'm still convinced. You have a sky cam of clearly seeing the ball being recovered, and then you don't overturn that. That was a slap in the face to me. Like that's one of those where normally in a scrum, that ball moves around, right?
Yeah.
You don't know where it ends up.
And I think that's why they gave him the courtesy of just like any other fumble, it would be a scramble, and whoever comes out on, whatever. So I feel like that's where they're just like, man, we can't like. I agree though.
I think we had.
It's been a weird officiating year, especially the thing that comes to mind is the safety with you guys like 2 weeks ago against the Vikings. It's like just very deciding factors. I mean that takes off so much momentum for the Packers like as a whole when you start off the game with a fumble like that. It's like.
And then they're showing the highlight over and over again, and so when it appears one way. And it gets called the other, it's like agree with it, right call, wrong call, but it's like whoa, like
that's tough to overcome for sure.
Yeah, either way, it's like we're still fumbling the football on kickoff.
Yeah, you shouldn't have fumbled it, but it should have. Yeah,
exactly.
There's
and then the Washington Tampa game, a little upset there. I did have Washington. It was one of my nicer picks of probably the season. It's always fun to see like when you're against the grain, not against you guys, but against just the books.
No, great call. Great call for sure.
It was just something about Washington, and I wish it's weird rooting for like a divisional guy. I guess this is what you guys feel with the Vikings and like Fancy for you the Lions, and then Matt for you the Packers. Like you still do want your rivals besides the Cowboys, because fuck the Cowboys, to do well. But it's like I wish they had a little bit more juice, because it's like they snuck out of this one, and it's like they're just not going to have nearly enough to get. It's like Goliath is next. You know what I mean? It's just like,
oh yeah,
you're dead, little guy. You know what I mean? It's like you made it farther than we all thought. Like you did. It's been an impressive
really cool.
We'll dive into it. Yeah,
really cool to see that.
Jaden Daniels. I knew in the first half, I was like, I made the right pick. I think I saw 11 for 13, like 106, 60, 70 yards. I'm like, this dude's fucking. He's just throwing darts, and it's like. I really, really, really see a lot, and it scares me as an Eagles fan because it's something I have to deal with for the next 10 years. If he can stay healthy, and I hope he does, but I see a lot of Lamar Jackson out of him. I see someone who has a very strong arm, and it releases out of their hands very, very, very quickly. It's like it's so fast coming out of their hands. It's like a bullet every time they release it, and they're just. I talked about it. I mean, he's so athletic. I talked about it last week with Jaden Daniels being so much more athletic than Baker, and that's part of the reason why I thought it. But even with Baker he played his heart out. And honestly barely threw the football last week. I don't know if you guys saw that stat or not. But he only threw the football 18 times, which is kind of crazy.
13 of 18?
Yeah, 13 of 18. So it's like, I mean, that's very low for him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
at that number, the books had it at 33.5. So, I mean, think about that. It's almost double. But shout out to Washington. That was a great win for them. I think that's just where their season ends. We'll get into that in a little bit. But then the Rams, shocking us all three as well. Another consensus that went down for us. The opposite way, 27-9. LA just finding some momentum with everything going on in Cali right now. Just dug a little bit deeper. Vikings maybe still shooken up against that loss that they took against the Lions. It could be the Lions hangover that you talked about, Matt. We didn't factor that in, I guess, for playoffs. Because I mean, the stat that we just gave you guys with the Vikings, right? They've lost 4 times. 2 of those times were the Lions hangover. So that's something that we didn't really think about, I guess, was that Lions hangover. Especially with us consensus pick,
Two takeaways I had from the wild card weekend was one kind of cool AFC side. It's the divisional winners, 1, 2, 3, and 4 moved on. That was kind of interesting. The second one would be fancy. We talk about what's the threshold that you got to score to win 25. A game, right? So we had a lot of these games where the Eagles at 22, but they could have scored, should have scored.
They could have scored so much more. That's just what they do is.
And then it was Washington, because it was a walk-off field goal, right? Otherwise, they would have hit that threshold too. But all these teams, they hit that threshold, and you saw on the flip side of it, you got scores like 12, 14, 7, 10, 9 on the other side, right? So it's those offenses on those losing sides did not come to play and score enough to be able to match up in these games. So that's really what I saw. Hopefully, we get a better turnout as we move into this divisional round.
Well, your other takeaway wasn't it's nice to have a bye week for once?
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't lose, right? So that was very interesting that you don't have this.
Well, see, now you guys are gonna. Now, I mean, we are taking the Lions, but you might see the little hangover from the old first round bye like we see some of the weeks. So just be careful. Don't get too comfy over there in Detroit. But no, so Matt did an awesome job with this graphic. Our consensus picks, all 4 of them. We're only taking 1 away team. I just realized that. But Saturday, we have the Texans, Chiefs, and Washington and Detroit. All 3 of us are going with the Chiefs and the refs. And I will say, look at this graphic, and I'm going to say it once so that way we don't talk about it 1,000 times. Like, it is crazy to see the odds. Like, this is the playoffs. And we're seeing -8.5, -9.
Oh yeah, look at these. Look at these spreads. Yeah,
I mean, even the money line -440, -485, -270. I mean, that's like they should be the Bills, right? Like Bills Ravens, like -18, -102, like -1.5, +1. It should be reasonably close. -3,
even a one. They're saying it's more than a 1-score game on the Lions and on the Chiefs. That's
right. That's crazy for playoff football. But yeah, we all are taking the Chiefs. Chiefs finished season 15-2, first round bye in Kansas City, Arrowhead, the refs, Mahomes, the refs, Andy Reid, the refs,
Cold,
Taylor Swift, Kelsey, the refs.
Mahomes' brother.
Mahomes' brother, Jackson.
I really wanted to see a better matchup. I mean, not that obviously we saw the Chargers can fall flat on their face, but like Kansas City, pretty much all but 3 of those games were 1-score games. I'm not including the last game of the season.
Never scored a single game over 30 points.
Not a single game over 30 points. We already went through that stat. Obviously, during the season, they found a way to get it done, and we know they have the skill set from the past 2 seasons. So it's tough. It's tough to not pick them here.
This is this is when they play their best football.
It is. I will go
typically. That. So it's like
this is where
all
Mahomes,
they gotta do is get here.
This is where like Mahomes somehow does find that Brady switch of like he's gonna go for 280 yards. This is when he like flips it on. It's like okay, it's go time now. Like So
Travis
it's like
Kelce gets 5 years younger.
Dude, all of a sudden he's like prime Gronk again. Like it's like you'll see a stat line 9 catches, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, are you okay? Like, what do they inject you with? Like,
Right.
But I'll just say this: I want to see the Chiefs win by 2 possessions. I want to see them win by 14. Like, I want to see them win. I want to see them win 28-14. I want to see like Mahomes throw 2 touchdowns, 260, 280. I want to see them actually play football. I don't want this to come down to the haywire and the Texans hit a fucking field goal post or there's a pass interference. I will be sick if it comes down to that. The Chiefs should win this game by 2 possessions. If they don't, they won because of the refs. Or the Texans won. I think I'd be happy. I think I'd be okay with that. I think I'd be okay with the Texans, Bills, Ravens AFC Championship. I think that'd be refreshing to see.
I mean, that'd be the only way the Bills or Ravens move on is if they have to play the fucking Texans.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have the Lions Commanders, the biggest spread of the of the weekend. The Saturday night game, over 55.5 over under. It's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I won't nail it too much because there's not much to talk about in this one for me. I think the last game of the Sunday night game is the one we're going to spend the most time on talking.
Yep.
But I'm not calling it their season. The football is football. Every Sunday we talk about any given Sunday, right? Fancy. It's the NFL. Anything can happen.
They are pros.
But no matter what, this Commanders season was one to remember, and it was one to, no matter what the outcome is, come away with, okay, hey, we did a lot more than what we thought, because the Cowboys were still the favorites to win the division.
Yeah.
The Commanders were third favorite in their division. They finished second. They were leading the division for a while there. Rookie quarterback, banged up running backs the whole season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
New coach coming in. Like there was a lot against them.
Old talent.
Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz. I mean, Austin Eckler. Like, you know what I mean?
We're not going to mention Bobby Wagner getting trucked.
Yeah, literally.
Oh God. Anyways.
Yeah, but it's just like, kudos to them that even if they lose this game by 2 possessions, by 3 possessions, by 1 possession, it's like you went a lot farther than what the fan base thought you would probably do. And as a fan, if you're honest about it, you probably realize it was a lot better than what you thought they would do too. So go back to the drawing board, grab some talent in the offseason, the free agency. And
shout out Ronnie. Good for the Commanders getting there.
Good for the Commanders.
Yeah, but it's a bright future when you see
absolutely
what he's done. You get this rookie quarterback, and he's done so great with, like you're talking about, all these veteran pieces.
Yep.
You got a lot of looking to the future for that team.
That's kind of what I said last week when we were talking about rookie quarterbacks, because we went against Bo Nix. And I said I'm eating my bullet of the Bo Nix rookie talk, but it's different when you are surrounded by a bunch of veteran guys. And Jane Downs been so talented that that's what I said it last week. That was my pick of the week probably, and I even said it last week that this was as far as they were going to go, because I knew what was coming next. The Lions are next, and that's where you get stopped. So I think this is easy one. I think the books even read it as an easy one.
Well,
it means the worst seeds you guys can play, literally, right?
Yes, absolutely. But it's one of those things where it is, there are obviously scarier teams. I told you before, looking ahead to the Eagles in the conference championship, but same thing with the Rams. Somehow, if they pull it out too, those offenses, they do scare me, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd rather play Commanders than the Rams, though. Like,
true, yeah. So right now, I like it, but when you look at what the Lions offense can do, right? First in points per game, second in yards per game, second in passing yards, 6th in rush yards. But then on the flip side of it, something scary could happen with the Washington offense, because our defense, obviously we've talked about all year being banged up, 30th in opponents passing, and then what was my other number? Defensively, obviously that's where these shootouts, that's why it's 55.5 too, is we do have to be careful of what the Commanders could do on their offensive scheme too. But for everything we've talked about, great run, but I fully believe my pick is Lions to the Super Bowl, so they got to win here to keep on that path.
Fancy,
man. I just wouldn't be surprised if the Lions open it up on the Commanders, to be honest.
Yeah,
without being disrespectful to the Commanders, I've seen the Lions do it. And if it was a 38-10, I wouldn't go wow.
Yeah, you might see Teddy Bridgewater out there like getting a couple snaps in. Like,
yeah,
you might. I think the way I view it, before we move on, the way I view it was we saw you guys absolutely confuse Darnold with just like, and I think when you're a rookie, I do think Jaden Daniel, I don't really view him as a rookie. Like, I know he is, but like the way he's played, you got to give him the respect that he's not just this rookie. Like, labeling him as always rookie. No. Like, he's beaten some teams he probably should not have beaten. He's looked really good and had some very definable moments this season. But what are you gonna do when there's fucking 6'7" blue guys come? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's gonna be. I don't know. What you guys are you guys wearing the all blacks or like what are you guys wearing? Like, you just.
I didn't look at what we're wearing yet. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
I mean, either way, that place is gonna be loud. You're not gonna hear he's gonna have play call issues. He's gonna. I mean, and with Dan Campbell and what they do, it's like. I'll tell you what. Between Dan Quinn and Dan Campbell, there's gonna be a lot of fucking fake punts and fourth down going for it and fake field goals and I mean they're gonna be pulling some shit out. I can tell you that much.
I don't know if you saw it or not. Yeah, there's a no punts in the game.
Yeah, that was
for
Washington.
No, I know, but like so it's like plus 2,500 or something like that.
Really?
And to me that's
worth putting a little money on.
Yeah, that's a good chance in this game because you're right. Even if you can hold somebody,
yep.
I feel like they're still going to go for it because that's the type of momentum in this game that you're going to have to do.
Yep.
Is go for it.
And I mean that is something before we move on to the Rams Eagles games with the Commanders. I think now correct me if I'm wrong. Let me drop down in the comments if you guys do know the stats. But Jane Daniels and the Commanders are the first team like ever to have 0 turnovers and like 0 punts in like a rookie debut playoff game or something like that. Like it's kind of crazy. Like the reason
that
I
is
say
outstanding.
them, yeah, the reason I say them is because like they obviously still ran the football, so like you can still fumble, wide receivers can fumble. It's like it's still a team, object like stat, but like kudos to Jaden Daniels too of like so that's why I think is it's gonna be interesting. I don't know.
Yep.
Like I said, I like Fancy said though. I think if it's over 55.5, I think it's the Lions putting a whooping on them of like 42 to 21. It's gonna be like holy fuck they, and then it's gonna be like their backups going in there, and that's when you're gonna see the Brock Wright touchdown and the Shane Zylstra touchdown, and
Oh yeah,
all
somebody's
parlay is
gonna.
I like
Zylstra.
Mortgage. I'm telling you,
that was my
mascot
two this week. Shane Zylstra anytime touchdown, and this game for no punts, no turnover. Wait, is it no punts, no turnovers, or just no punts?
It's no punts.
Oh, that's even better than I thought. It was no punts, no turnovers. I'm like, I don't know. There might be a pick.
No, there'll be a pick.
But because if we've seen anything in this the wild card round, at least it's been quarterbacks are throwing picks between Darnold and fucking Herbert. But the Eagles against the Rams, you guys can go.
Yeah, LA. I mean, I knew Matthew Stafford, obviously, being our quarterback for quite a while. Thanks for all those draft picks. Turned out well for us. Turned our franchise around, really. I mean, 9 sacks last week. Like that's impressive in a playoff game. We saw, my kind of defensive rookie of the year honorable mention I had thrown in there when we picked those early in the season. Jared Verse, again, looks amazing. Can you do that against the Eagles though? That's to me, that's the difference is that the defense was the difference in the game, holding Vikings to 9 points. But Eagles, you kind of talked about it before. Eagles didn't really look explosive because they didn't have to. Right.
Yeah.
So I think now when they have to, that's the difference maker in this game. Barkley looks amazing. Can you get the productivity out of AJ Brown, out of Devontae Smith? That's kind of what we need to see out of this game is can your wide receivers step up this game when they actually need to, because they didn't last game.
Yeah.
This is I feel like it's hard to speak on him. I like Matt Stafford as well. I like the Rams. I like the the hell is the coach?
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay, and I mean, on the flip side of the ball, it's like, are the Eagles going to get to Stafford? Sam Darnold couldn't get out of the way. He's not mobile like that. Neither is Stafford. So that's what I think about is like, not so much what is the Eagles offense going to do is what is the Eagles defense going to do. And so that's where I'm just like, I'm happy with the Eagles probably putting a touchdown on them, at least.
Yeah, that's fair. I think what I'm most excited for is to see our younger guys like Cooper DeJean and Keenan Mitchell go up against guys like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. I think it's gonna be cool. I know we matched up against them early in the season. I think either Puka or Cooper Kupp, one of them was hurt, so it's a little easier when you can like keep your eye off of one of them. Because we talk about how explosive they can be. I know Cooper Kupp's been down the last 7-8 weeks of not really doing much but a blocker, but like any given week he can go for 100 plus. I think 9 sacks is something that's not being talked about enough. I think people are bashing the hell out of Sam Darnold. You saw the offensive line. I think it's funny because I brought up last week, if you remember, Matt, the Vikings needed to learn from their mistake that you guys showed them.
Yes,
and their
100%.
mistake was running everyone at the quarterback because Sam Darnold has no idea what to do because the offensive line is nowhere to be found. And I think Sean McVay was like, okay, we got some 23-year-olds we can just fucking send right at them. And
Blueprint accepted.
I think the 9 sacks is, the dual-edged sword of, okay, you can learn from it, but we're going to take advantage of it too. So let's see who studied a little bit more,
Yeah.
And I think as much as Kevin O'Connell should win Coach of the Year, I think Sean McVay's a coach any NFL team would take. I mean, I respect Sean McVay a lot. So once again, great season by the Rams. I think this is where it ends as an Eagles fan and being confident with that. Because I don't see them sacking Jalen Hurts 9 times. A much more mobile quarterback than Sam Darnold, much more of an athlete than Sam Darnold, the best offensive line in the league. And then on the flip side of it, you have the best defensive line in the league and the best secondary in the league. So, okay, you have Cooper Kupp and Puka. They both went I think Cooper Kupp had one catch for 20-something yards, and Puka had 50 yards, against the Vikings. The Vikings defense did show up. Vikings offense didn't. I think you're going to see Barkley have his way, and you're going to see the time keep going down. I think that's just our identity this year. It's just like no team is forcing us to score 30, 40, 50 points. Like, we're going to keep everything in. And I honestly feel this way, and it might not be just targeted, though. I think it's in some way almost getting ready for you guys, Matt, is like, we're going to keep the game in front of us. If you notice, a lot of the games, they go up 7-0. Defense stops them. They drain 8 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
It's like they might get a field goal. You know what I mean? But we just drain 8 minutes off. So now it's your turn again. Go ahead. Let's see what you can do. Like,
I completely agree. I love that about how the Eagles can do that. The difference maker to me, I talked about it ad nauseum with Matthew Stafford, right? If he has the ball, so if you give him that opportunity, so if you don't drain the entirety of that last drive in the fourth quarter, if you give him the ball with a minute and change left,
they're not even doing that though. That's what I mean. Is like they're not even putting themselves in position. They're up 2 possessions, so they already won the game at that point. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I'm.
And for me, my perspective is, I mean, this Rams defense that they have. I just want to put this on the record now. Like, if you look through it, it is one of the youngest defenses. I think it's either the youngest or the second youngest behind the Packers. And I mean, dude, this defense, I'm telling you, like, you talk about the Aaron Donald when they won the Super Bowl, like that defense was how scary they were.
Yeah.
It's going to be just as scary. Like, it's maybe a year, 2 years, 3. It's going to be gross though when they develop. So my thing is let's see this rookie defense, because I'm gonna call them a rookie defense, but with respect. That's a respectable, me saying that. But can they stay the football field for 12 minutes, 14 minutes, and keep tackling guys like Barkley, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts? Like, these are big guys. Like, you know what I mean? It's like go ahead and tackle Derrick Henry 25 times a game. You know what I mean? It's like not a lot of teams can do that. So it's like, I think I saw like Saquon Barkley set a NFL record for the most rushing yards in the second half, and it was like 1,300 rushing yards in the second half. That's ridiculous when you think about that. Like most guys didn't have that in the season. He had that in the second half of games. So I think the first half of it is us keeping them in front of us. The first half, whether it's 7-0, 10-0, 10-3, whatever, and then the second half's like just let Barkley off the leash and just let him go. Like, and I love that I know a lot of anytime touchdown scores last week got burned out by him sliding, but he was running the sideline. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but he's like, you guys said, because Sirianni was like, why didn't you just go? He's like, you said no moss. And he was like, I'm not fucking pulling a hamstring. Like, I just love how full future he's set at mentally. Like, yeah, I can score a touchdown.
But he knew the game was over.
You know, or I can slide and we can all go home healthy. So which one do you guys want? You know what I mean? Like you said, it's my first playoff win. That's all that I care about. Like, to me, that's better than any touchdown I can get. Like, and so I do love that mentality of like, he's a first year captain for us, but he's a veteran in the locker room for sure.
It's almost better than a chip on his shoulder. It's like he sees where he wants to be.
I mean, when you're here, like with the Giants, and then now you're like, wait, the best offensive line, the best defense. It's like he might never get a chance like this ever again. Like, so it's like,
it's like, instead of a chip, it's like he's got like gratitude on his shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so grateful for everybody around me for once. Like, it's great.
Because when he came out in the interview, not to nail this, because we'll get into the Bills-Ravens game after this, but he came out in the interview and they said, like, what do you feel about the rushing record? He was kind of like, I talked to my family, all my family members, my uncles, my brother, whatever. They all want me to get it, But I told them right there and then, I came to Philly to win a Super Bowl. I didn't come here to win a rushing title. I didn't come here to do this. I came here to win a Super Bowl. If my coach thinks that prevents us from getting to the Super Bowl, then I don't want it. Like, that's the way I look at it. Is I have these yards, that's great. If it doesn't come with a Super Bowl, then I don't want it. If I sit down and you think that's a better chance for us, then that's what I'm going to do. Because you got us here as the coach, so that's fine. That's the final answer for me. It doesn't bother me. I ain't going to lose no sleep on it. Like, So it's I love that attitude, and I think it's going to be something that's, before we move on, I think it's going to be interesting because we're either going to see the Lions-Eagles matchup, which I mean, that's going to be cool because one of us is going to go Super Bowl. One of us is. Like, that's a really cool feeling. Or you're going to see possibly a Rams-Lions. And does Stafford stop you guys going to your first? You know what I mean? It's like, that would be a crazy story of like, does Stafford go into Detroit and stop you guys from going to your first Super Bowl? It's like, that would be a story.
Yeah, it took us overtime, first game of the season, right, to beat them.
And last year, the divisional, right? You guys ended up being the divisional game. I mean, you guys won, but still, it'd be interesting. I mean, story sometimes writes itself. I mean, sometimes it's scripted. Only Fancy's got the script as a Packer owner. You just can't leak it to us.
Yeah.
And then probably like the most anticipated matchup, because as much as these are consensus picks, the Chiefs, Lions, Eagles are very favored in this, right? So we can defend them all we want. Lions, Matt, that's your team. Eagles, we can defend them all we want. We can juice them up all we want. We're biased because those are our guys, and the books are favoring them. So it's not really like we're going against the grain here. But all of us go in the Ravens. I did think maybe one of us would tilt Bills, just because it sucks that this is the matchup. It does, because I want both of these guys to make it the Super Bowl. Like, I want Lamar or Josh in the Super Bowl, and I wish this was the AFC Championship because it very well could be.
I agree.
So, it sucks, but we have to pick one. And with my NFL playoff bracket that I did, obviously it's shocked because the Chargers lost and the Vikings lost, but I do have the Ravens going to the Super Bowl. So I think this obviously needs to be a win here if that logic's going to go through.
Yep.
It's tough to sit there and say that Josh Allen, it's just not enough. But at the same time, I just don't think it is enough. Like, the Ravens are like, Lamar Jackson's statistically a better quarterback than Josh Allen this season. They're both MVP candidates, 1-2, right? We saw Josh Allen get picked number 2 for All-Pro team. He's quarterback number 2. Lamar Jackson number 1, which usually in the past, when that trends, that means the number 1 guy is the MVP over the other guy. So we're looking at possibly Lamar Jackson being the MVP. So you can almost say those guys cancel each other out because they're just as good as one another is. Derrick Henry, better running back than James Cook. And then when it comes to wide receivers, I think they're on a fair playing field because when you have Zay Flowers, I don't think Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman are as good. If anything, it favors the Baltimore Ravens, right? It favors the Ravens at the tight end spot when you got guys like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I think both of those guys are guys any team in the league would take, and they have two of them there. So I think that just right there is enough for me to I have to bet on the better team, not the better player. Like I think Josh Allen can win his team. You see 13-4. He won his team those games. It's like when it's the playoffs, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. Unless it ends up being a 6 feet of snow game where, know. But
no, to me, the only thing you didn't hit on there to me is then the coaching. Coaching favors Ravens as kind of the cherry on top to me. Yep. So, but yeah, to me, this hopefully is going to be it's kind of cool that it's the last game of the weekend, right? I think this one is going to be the must-see TV type of game.
That you're going to have to sit down and watch every snap of this game because it's going to be wild.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, we saw this matchup. It was early in the season. It was in Baltimore. That's the difference, right? But to me, it was 35-10. That was not a good game, right? That was not one of these matchups that we were thinking, but it's different now. It's playoff football. It's now going to be in Buffalo. So, everything you said, I love seeing a matchup like this, but I don't know how you can pick against Lamar and Derrick Henry. I think as those two if you just them isolated, those guys are top of the league at the quarterback and running back position. And I think they can push their team in a close matchup to get the win.
Yeah. And just to emphasize there before we get to Fancy's take, the 35-10 earlier in the season was the Ravens beating the Bills 35-10. Just in case any viewers are like, wait, what was it? Who won that game? It was a anticipated game that ended up being a blowout. We were like, wait, maybe the Bills like, right? we all kind of took a step back like, oh shit. like
yeah, the Bills got exposed first time around, and so we always like to have a little rematch. And something that worried me with the Bills going into the playoffs, just as a whole, even at home, is in back-to-back weeks against the Rams and against the Lions, they let up over 40 points each game. They won one, they lost one. So you can't let up 40 points in the playoffs. And if there's a team on here that could do it, it's just as much as it could be the Lions that do it or the Eagles do it, the Ravens could just as easily do it. You've named off every person that's any one of them will be taken across the league at the drop of a hat. And Josh Allen himself cannot keep up with that.
Yeah.
So I mean
that was
a clear choice almost.
Yeah, that was my assessment of it. Just looking at it like, man, if you give Josh Allen the crew that Lamar has, and you flip the support.
Oh yeah, just system, trade the roles.
It's like you pick the Bills. You know what I mean? Or you pick Josh Allen, whatever. I think that's why I'm saying I don't think it's quarterback versus quarterback. I think it's their support of who's with them, because I think if you give and to be fair, there was a time in this matchup happened where Josh Allen beat them. And Josh Allen had a better role. He had a better support. I mean, he had all these guys. Yeah. Now that Lamar's got Derrick Henry, he's got Zay Flowers. I mean, even Rashad Bateman.
Bateman stepped up.
He's been a huge step up. A huge step up for them. So it's like it's Lamar's turn. That's why I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I truly believe in that. So
I don't think Lamar can. I still stand with Lamar not being in the MVP talks. If Derrick Henry's in the MVP talks.
No. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I think Josh Allen is MVP for me. Lamar Jackson actually won MVP over Josh Allen last season with less stats because he was doing it with a team that was less talented.
Right.
So I think it's the same thing now. It's like Lamar is the offensive player of the year. He absolutely is. He's not the most valuable player of the year, though.
Right.
The most valuable player of the year is Josh Allen. The Bills would not be 13-4. They might be 4-13 without Josh Allen. I truly believe the Ravens could have a similar record without Lamar Jackson this season because of Derrick Henry.
Absolutely.
I think it's
until if Lamar Jackson doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, then I don't think you get it at all. Like,
I think it's
definitely not.
I could be wrong, Matt, but
no, it's going to be decided
but what is the voting thing though? They have to vote before or
it's regular season. Yeah, you don't.
But when do they do the voting though? Do you know? Like, because like, okay, so my
I don't
thing
know
is,
the official, but it's
yeah,
supposed to
my
be
thing
based
is
on
though,
regular season.
if you see Lamar Jackson like win this game, and you're a voter, can you honestly say you don't vote like Lamar Jackson? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, I feel like you have to vote before this game because
it's got to
like,
be locked in already.
yeah,
Then,
you have to
that
vote
wouldn't make
because
sense.
otherwise you're like, if Lamar Jackson puts up 400 yards and like 4 touchdowns,
yeah,
like you're telling me you're not going to go Lamar? You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like you have to almost. I wonder what that is.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've already like voted it in.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
I don't. But
to...
there was a Barry Sanders had talked about running back and quarterback. Like he had Brett Favre, and then him as the running back, be able to split it. Like, to me, that's the type of season we've seen out of these two running backs, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, that there should almost be a split award for an MVP type of candidacy. And then we kind of have a split, like you're saying, split decision almost between Lamar and Josh Allen. And I think kind of that 1A, 1B can push down to those two running backs too. It's just sad that they don't.
Yeah, there should be
They don't get that opportunity.
There should always be like a new award of like the MVP, but like positional player, not quarter. You know what I mean? It's like it could be a wide receiver, it could be a tight end, it could be whatever. It's like, because even last year we saw Sam Laporte have a great rookie year, and the rookie season still went to CJ Stroud. You know what I mean? Like it was still just no matter. I mean, he broke every record you could as a rookie, and it still just was not good enough to win Rookie of the Year. It's like quarterback is just always going to be above everything else, So, but those are our consensus picks this week for you guys, though. We wanted to have a little fun, so we did 2 parlays for you guys. Our straight up one of our consensus picks, because we couldn't really figure out what we wanted to do, so we just kept it simple. We took the Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, Ravens, just like our consensus picks just talked about. So hopefully it comes down to like the wire in this Ravens Bills game, and gets our money's worth out of this. It's $25 to win 94, and then we had a little bit of fun, and we did a touchdown parlay, and we went with Travis Kelce. I mean, Travis Kelce's got to get in, right, guys? Like, I mean,
got to.
It's playoffs, and then it was kind of funny. We were pre-production and we're talking about this, and me and Fancy both said St. Brown at like the same exact time. So we're like, "Yep, that's the one we're gonna go with." It's like we were like Lions, and me and St. Brown. Oh, yeah. So and it's like that's who we're going with. We went with Kyren Williams in the Rams Eagles game. Barkley's touchdown line is at -170. Williams is at -115. Williams seems to always get in the end zone if the Rams are getting in the end zone. So with the odds just being a little bit more favorable to Williams with like putting money on the line, it just seemed a little bit, especially with Williams throughout the regular season being like a -240, -220 most of the weeks, just seems like a smarter choice. And then we went with James Cook, because like we said, Josh Allen's not going to be able to do it all. So James Cook's going to have to go in there and help a little bit. We just threw $5 on this one, just a little fun one, but $5 to almost win $90. Kind of a free, buy yourself something nice, I guess. If you got an extra $5, it's just a scratch off ticket basically at that point to, help us out. We
did you end up doing the lotto? What was our lotto?
The plus 20, or is it plus 25,000 for no punts, right? In the, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yep.
Plus 25,000 for no punts in the Washington Detroit game. I don't know, man. You know how that pays out better than I do, because I don't know math like that. Me and Fancy's from Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oh, no. I think it's 2,500. So it's
Is it 2,500?
Yeah. Unless you can find it again.
So what would, like, so 2,500? Say Fancy puts $20 on it. What is that? What would that pay out? Do you know off the top of your head?
2,500 divided by 5.
Fancy, you got math?
500. 2,500 divided by 5.
Yep. So 20 gets 500.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, you could easily take that. I don't even know where you would see that on DK, if I'm being honest.
I think it's got to be under specials or something.
Like game props or something.
Might be. I don't know.
But yeah, you guys can look for it yourself. The touchdown one that I did last week did not hit. It missed the first game of the Chargers game. So, boo-hoo. I'm not a millionaire, but whatever. We tried, right?
I loved it though. That was a good find. I mean,
I wanted to look through and like count it, but when the Chargers didn't score one, I'm like, fuck this, fuck life, fuck betting, fuck everything. Like I'm just I wanted it to like run for like 2-3 games. Like give me a little like oh dude, I gotta sit down and watch all the games now, you know, like. And then I was like, fuck. I mean, the Eagles wouldn't have done it either, so that would have really burnt me out. Like,
yeah, because Saquon slid,
and that would have really hurt. You can imagine it going all the way through and Barkley slid. Like, dude.
Dude.
Oh gosh,
Suicide
I'd cry.
watch.
I'd actually cry. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. Those are our divisional picks. Next week, hopefully when we see the Eagles, Lions, and the Chiefs and Ravens play, we'll be here and we'll definitely be split. If that is what happens, if we go 4-0 this week. We will definitely be split on the consensus picks for next week. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be posting some graphics. Matt, you made us a nice vertical one with our picks and just the other stuff. And check out Matt's TikTok for the last couple of TikToks. He's been doing some funny ones with all the stuff going on with Darnold and everything else.
I swear I have some great ideas. Sometimes they just don't connect. So at least go check it out. Let me know.
Sometimes you fail 1,000 times to get the 1,001st one to go through. So
it
is what it is. But
so slide in those DMs.
Yeah, slide in those DMs. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Later.
See ya.